In this video, we're going to show you how PBXMonitor can make it easy for you to manage your best practices compliance on your 3CX servers. For this, we have the actual compliance section in PBXMonitor. The first page in here controls the automatic update settings and shows them for all your PBXs. So say you had 100 servers, they would all show right here, so you can quickly roll down and make sure the settings are correct and uniform if that's what you prefer to use. If you find a setting that's incorrect, the automatic update switch here can be used to quickly toggle on and off the automatic update feature. And if you want to actually change the schedule, you can click on the schedule itself and it will bring you to the page you need to change that on. Moving on, we have the backup policies page. This will show the current backup policy assigned to each of your 3CX servers. As you can see, this is the preferred policy that I have set up in the system. However, you can modify it to fit your needs, and it makes it easy with color coding to see which options are on versus off and what they're set to. So if you were rolling down a list of 100 servers, it would be easy to see if there was one that the settings did not match on. It also shows you the last time a server backed up, so as you're rolling down, if something is causing a backup failure, you will see it. The next page shows you where the servers are backing up to. Obviously, a local backup is kind of a no-no for a critical environment. However, a lot of people still use them. FTP is considered more acceptable, but still meh because of security reasons. Preferred backup option would be SMB or SFTP or S3 or Google Buckets or something, something more reliable and secure. Again, this makes it really easy to see if there's a server that stands out from the crowd. The email servers option shows you the very same thing. It will show you the email settings for sending emails that each PBX is using. Emergency rules is another important page. It's becoming a legal issue where if a PBX does not have its emergency rules functioning correctly, it can actually cause the assessment of fines if there is an issue when your customer tries to call 911. It varies by jurisdiction. However, this will show you if any of your 3CX servers do not have those critical emergency rules set up. We have these two servers here with intentionally not showing any rules set up, so you can see they turn red in the absence of any settings. The general security section is intended for a easy method of auditing your security settings across all your PBXs. It makes it easy to see which ones have console restrictions enabled, which ones are using 3CX's global blacklist, which ones have the various PCI compliance and secure SIP settings enabled, and which ones have any altered settings for the off, fail, and for the barriers and challenge options. Occasionally, we've seen where a customer that has admin rights will go into a server and dumb these down for whatever reason and potentially cause a security risk. This single report here makes it easy to see if that occurs, so you can fix it before it becomes a serious issue. Another often overlooked item is the holiday digital receptionist that's built into 3CX. A lot of times these never get set up, which in most cases is fine. However, if somebody was to accidentally check the checkbox to use the global holiday greeting during a holiday, one little checkbox, if they accidentally check it on an inbound rule, all of a sudden those calls would go to wherever that holiday digital receptionist is pointed to, which by default is end call. Thus, you could end up with an accidental scenario where calls on a holiday, instead of going to voicemail or an after hours or on call or some other situation, they just get hung up on instantly. That's happened a couple times to customers, and this is where this page came from a request. So this will show red if any time a holiday digital receptionist, whether it's in use or not, is pointed at end call. The best practice, if you're not using the holiday digital receptionist, is simply set it to automatically forward back into whatever your standard after hours call flow is. Just point it back into the tree so it doesn't lead to a dead end anymore. This page will show you what the email notification settings are for the admin notification settings in the 3CX server. Now, these are basic abbreviations for all the various options you see on that page in 3CX, but if you mouse over them, you'll see an expanded description of what they really function as. This option, for example, is if an emergency number is dialed. Does it need to send an email to the technical contact of the 3CX server? This one is if a trunk or SPC changes status. Does it need to send an email? All of these are for sending emails directly from the 3CX server, and a lot of these don't need to be on depending on your scenario. However, this page makes it very easy to toggle them on and off. As simple as that. We do recommend that after you click on a control to change it, wait for the status bar here to indicate that change has completed before you click on another one. Otherwise, the setting may or may not have taken effect before you've interrupted the process. It can sometimes take a few seconds for the PBX to register the change fully. So if you were to go down this list clicking too fast, probably half of them would not have applied. This page allows you to inventory and track the status of all of your SSL TLS certificates on your PBX servers. If you had any custom certificates in use, this page is very, very useful to know who the issuer was, when they are valid from, and when they expire. So you can go to this page and easily sort by the expiration date to see if you have any pending expirations coming up and handle them accordingly. You can also drill down for more info on a certificate simply by clicking on certificate details and actually get all of the important information about that certificate. The final page in the compliance section is the whitelist check, and this one's fairly simple. This page is here to show you which PBX servers have the PBXMonitor address in their whitelist. We recommend adding it to the whitelist before you put the PBX into PBXMonitor. However, that doesn't always happen. So this page gives you a one-click way to see if any of your 3CX servers need the PBXMonitor monitoring IP added to their whitelist blacklist. Now, if one is missing, it would show red here, but it also gives you a one-click button to just click it once, and PBXMonitor automatically adds the correct IP address to the whitelist for you. One more page that's very useful for monitoring the compliance of your 3CX servers is the health report. Now, you won't find that in the compliance section because it's generated fresh for every PBX, and it would not fit on a multiple PBX page such as this one. To find the health report, you would go to Manage PBXs, go to a particular PBX, and then this big purple button called the health report. If you click on that and then just wait a minute, the report generates live. This report is up to the minute that you've clicked on it, that you've generated it, and it will give you all kinds of useful information about that particular PBX. I've created a few mistakes on here so you'll actually see how it weights things. Here you can see an extension that's failed SIP credential complexity check. If there was more than one extension, they would all be listed here, and the score would fall appropriately. This section just checks the anti-hacking barrier settings, which you find on the general security on the compliance section. This is a complexity check of our own creation for the admin password. It will weight it based on length and complexity. Here you can see the licensing assessment. This section will alert you if the license is expiring anytime soon, but beyond that, it will alert you to the highest simultaneous calls that the server has seen within the last 15 days or so. So if that server is running high on maxim calls, or if it's hitting its limit, you'll see indications here of where it has hit its limit. It will actually list multiple incidents if it's hit the limit multiple times. And the score would have dropped accordingly. Resource usage basically tells you how the ping, CPU, and RAM and system uptime of the PBX have been. Obviously, you can see the CPU usage is very low, the latency is very low, and the RAM usage is just over 50%, so it loses like 1 or 2 points, because we'd like to see them below 50%. But that's, again, depends on your environment. Storage assessment essentially just make sure you're not overloading the hard disk, and make sure your recording and voicemail quotas are set properly. Disaster recovery assessment is purely about the backups. It makes sure 1, automatic backup is enabled, 2, that you have a recent backup, 3, it checks where the backups are stored. This large chunk of missing score is because the backups are being stored locally. If the backups were going remote, the score would be much higher, or potentially 100%, depending on the backup storage location. This check right here just simply indicates all the critical features of 3CX are inside the backup, and that just means it's backing up everything except the recordings. It would show the same way if it was backing up the recordings as well, but this just makes sure the license and the FQDN and such are included in the backup. And then this section actually does a very, very basic penetration test against the 3CX server. As you can see, we've opened up SSH so that we could get the report to show that. And it tells you this is a security risk, this is bad. That way you can remedy it and see if either you need to close that port or if you need to put a proper access control list in front of that so that only allowed IP addresses can connect to it. And similarly, as you can see, we have a webmin port sitting open too, but this scan was actually performed from the inside, that's why it's seeing that. But this way, in case the 3CX server is being managed with any number of remote management tools, or if somebody has modified the database config and exposed the database to the outside world, or done any number of silly things and modified the PBX, that you get a warning about it so you know that the security issue exists and you can handle it accordingly. This page also has an easy print function right here in the corner, so you can print this report out and bring it to the customer and say, look at how the amazing job we're doing. To that end, if you provide us the logo for your company, this logo can be swapped out with it by us. Just contact the support team for additional details on how to do that. The logo does need to be the same height as this logo here, and it needs to be a PNG. For printing these reports, We do recommend you print them landscape because there's just a lot of information, and if you were to select portrait, it gets paginated kind of strangely. This one's actually coming out okay, but depending on the PBX and how much information's being alerted on in here, you can sometimes end up with a blank page in the middle because of the formatting. If the print format on your system looks strange, you may have to come in here into the More Settings section and tell it to print background graphics. We'll turn that off for a second, and you'll see what I mean. Now it looks kind of tacky. So if you switch that on, now it'll look just like it looks in this report on the screen. We hope you enjoy our product and that you check out our other videos. Take care, guys.